TeamPokeColors family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, hit the subscribe and like down below. Before we get into today's video, I do want to let you guys know that VaultX has opened up pre-orders for their Mega Evolution Series 2 set binder that you can get on their website. Those links will be linked down below. We are now affiliated with G Fuel, as I mentioned last video, so if you're considering buying some G Fuel, use code TPC14 and get your nice discount. Also, just want to start by saying thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for giving me a place to come and talk about things that I'm going to talk about today, as well as giving your feedback and comments for my opinions, because it's just me. I'm just my own opinions. And yeah, so let's get right into today's video. So I wanted to come on here and talk about how I am enjoying the Pokemon card hobby in its current state. Obviously, we know there's some market corrections happening. Things are getting a little bit better in terms of, you know, the buyouts and things. Like the trend charts for a lot of the financial side of things are kind of leveling out, which is good, a good sign and good indicator. But I'm not going to speak mostly to that. I'm going to speak about how I'm enjoying the hobby. And one thing that I've refound my love for here lately, after playing through a lot of Pokemon Legends ZA, is just the idea of Mega Pokemon. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to open some Mega Evolution booster packs, where I have even some pulls of some just regular Mega Evolutions that I wanted to showcase today, because I think they're actually really cool. And just to showcase a few of them, like granted they're in top loaders, so the gloss isn't as prominent, but like Latias, for example, there's not a Mega Latios in the set. There might hopefully be one to come in the future, but for now we just have Mega Latias. And we even have the promo variant, which I don't have currently, but I pulled both of these, and I really do think that, you know, these cards are really sweet. They're really cool. And because these cards I think are really cool, I've been buying a few of them, and I have some coming in the mail. So I have this idea or this project where I want to just fill up a binder full of these, because, you know, in my opinion, like, without saying one thing or one way or the other, I gotta be careful about how I word this, but specifically looking at cards that are underappreciated, technically, in my opinion, you know, looking at how many tag teams I had over the years and how well they've performed, it's like, you know, I just bought them over time because I liked them, and then it was nice to see that return in the future. Just to say that, like, if you're deliberately buying out a lot of cards, you know, you can only assume that the intention is to sell them in the future. But for me, I'm kind of more trying to build like a showcase binder where I get like 12, maybe 24, might be pushing it, but at least 12 to start, of just each of the Mega Pokemon, because I'm not going for master sets this generation. That was something I tried last generation. I was able to complete a few master sets, but seeing the prices for the Victinis and the Full Art Reshiram Zekrom from the black and white sets from last generation, from Scarlet Violet, and even looking to other sets that I have literally no cards for, like Temporal Forces, Paradox Rift, a lot of those kind of mid-generation sets that I don't have really anything for. And then factoring in Prismatic Evolutions, like, it's just not realistic for me at this time. Back when the Scarlet Violet era first started, though, you could open a booster box and pretty much get a good chunk of the pulls, and then from that point, you could essentially go for the master set with singles, because they were just so relatively cheap and affordable, and the pulls were pretty good. But you look at a set like Prismatic, where you have, you know, all of those Umbreon or all those evolution chases, with the pull rates being as bad as they are, it's just not feasible, in my opinion, financially for me right now to be able to do that. So one thing I'm doing is kind of looking at something that I really do like. I actually started collecting back when Megas first came out, like as a young adult. I obviously had my fair share of childhood collection memories from the EX era, but it really was, you know, kick-started in 2014 when we started this channel, me and Alex, when he introduced me to Furious Fist. That set had just released. I remember riding the bus home. He was like, dude, you got to check out this new Pokemon set. I'm actually getting back into it. It's pretty cool. And he really never got out of it. He just didn't buy the cards as much. But we really kind of, you know, found the whole love for Pokemon cards again with the Megas, and playing through the Legends EA game, I'm like I'm having a blast with it. So I'm like, you know what, I really do think about like what I want to collect going forward. And from a sealed standpoint, like, we're doing okay, we're doing fine. But from a single standpoint, I've always just had set binders, and I've not really had like a dedicated showcase binder for a specific type of card. It's always been like, you know, cards from a certain set and the master set goals and ambitions there. And so to me, like, I really do think it would be super cool to have just a whole binder page full of a mega, like, and then that's it. Like, that's all I'm gonna do. And because of these pull rates in the new mega set, like, these are readily available right now. They're not super playable yet, which could change over time. We saw that with some of the other, you know, playable cards in the last generation from Scarlet Violet. But more or less, like, looking at, you know, how many are listed and, you know, how frequently pulled these guys are compared to, you know, obviously the gold cards. Like, if I was going to say I want 12 of the Lucario and 12 of the Gardevoir gold cards, or even more, with the intention of like, oh, I believe they're going to be worth more in the future, then you're going about it all wrong. And from my perspective, I've always actually liked, you know, the base EX cards. Ever since the EXs got reintroduced, for example, like this card right here. This is from, well, this is a promo, but think about, you know, the Tera cards. Everybody was bashing on those when they first came out. Me personally, I'm like, this is a Dark Charizard. It's basically a Delta species. You know, speaking to any of the Tera Delta species cards, like the Electric Mewtwo from whatever set that is, Paradox. I don't even know what set that's from, but there's a few of them. Frostlass is a grass type. You know, the Tera cards that change the type of the actual Pokemon to another type that normally wouldn't be that type. Like, that's the closest thing we've gotten to Delta species. And being able to make those connections kind of helps me see, like, okay, like, we have modern day Delta species and no one's really, like, no one cares because they have hats on them. Like, that to me seems like a timeless take that as time goes on, people will look back and be like, oh man, I wish I had gotten a Charizard Delta species when it re-released as a dark type Charizard from a promo standpoint, or even Obsidian Flames looking at that. And even Paldean Fates, you know, that print of that card as well. So I've always liked these. I've never really collected them specifically because I was just buying them to fill into the master sets for this generation. But to have fun in the new set releases and not worry so much about like trying to rip packs, or even if I do have the opportunity to rip packs, not caring if I only get the EX megas, because at the end of the day, it'll fill out a binder slot for me in my collection goals. And I think once it's all filled out, it would be really cool to see. So that's my plan. That's how I'm having fun in the hobby right now, because outside of that, you really have grading, or you have hitting restocks and opening packs, which even then it's like the financial aspect of it is wild, because if you're buying from somewhere that's not like an actual storefront, you know, you're going to probably be paying more if you're buying directly from like a scalper, for example, or, you know, any of these, like even GameStop has prices higher than MSRP. So it really just depends on where you get your product from. But, you know, to look at these cards and be like, dang, these are actually pretty cool. And personally, like, this is my favorite Pokemon, so why wouldn't I want to collect my favorite Pokemon, you know, in the ultra rare format? So I want to show you guys, if you haven't seen one of these in person before, kind of what the texture looks like. So there is some texture on the card. It's very, very like fine, and you can't really feel it. But if you look at the actual Pokemon itself, there are some texture lines on it, and then everywhere around it, outside of like these, like, you know, graphical like slash movement marks, there's some kind of sparkling action, but the rest of it's kind of gloss. And that to me is really neat. Like, just how they designed, you know, the overall look of this card is really unique. And if you even look at the edges, there's still some texture lines kind of engraved there as an extension of the movement lines from the artwork itself. So they're all a little bit different. But, and then you also compare that to last generation's Tera cards that everybody, you know, likes to bash on. Personally, I don't like to do that because I think they're awesome. And I know this is a promo card, but all the Teras are like this, where if you actually look at it up close and personal, there's a lot of depth to it, and you can kind of take your finger at least a little bit better on these ones and feel that there is some, you know, some texture. It's not very prominent, but if you actually look at the art on the card and what's kind of elevated and what's not, you can see that there's you know, some differentiation there with these little like shards coming out. They're a little bit more glossy. His eyes a little glossy, and then everywhere else on the card, you know, even up here it's glossy too with the tera explanation there. But there's also very fine texture lines, and if you look at old EXs from the XY days back in the day, you know, they didn't have any texture lines on the card. They were just kind of that like glossy finish, you know, that some of the aspects have carried over to these cards. So that's what I'm doing. Let me know how you're enjoying the hobby right now. If you are, if you're not, let's talk through it. Let's figure out some ways you can, you know, have fun, because it is a really fun time right now looking at, you know, just the concepts and the cards and artworks and stuff they've brought back. So I want to at least try to spin this in a positive way to, you know, hopefully help you kind of realize that it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of cool cards out there that nobody's even talking about that are cheaper than a booster pack that you could buy multiples of, or even a single card of, and, you know, still build out a really nice collection in a binder for that matter. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you like Mega EXs better, or the Tera cards with the hats, or do you like them equally the same because they're essentially the same, just a little bit different concept and gimmick as it relates to the actual game itself? So let me know in the comments what you think and feel about this matter. Just wanted to come on and share my love for these cards, because I do think they are really awesome, and yeah, I'm excited to share with you what I have planned for these types of things. Hopefully you enjoyed. Check out the links in the description to help support the channel, and let's have a discussion in the comments. Teras, EXs, Megas, what's your favorite? Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.